Hey, we're saints. Welcome to our crucifixional live stream. Father Chris here. Glad to have you, delightfully beautiful people, with us on this glorious Monday, August 8th. We are going to start today Chaos Week. And you might be saying, what does that mean, Chaos Week? I thought we're supposed to avoid chaos. You're darn right. We don't want chaos. We can't prevent chaos, but we want to be able to overcome the chaos. And really, what every single person somewhere deep down inside of us is searching, craving desperately is peace. Not just peace in the sense of an absence of war, though that's obviously an integral part of it, but peace in our hearts, in our minds, in our very core, in our guts. I mean, like, to have peace, to see our businesses thriving, to see our children thriving, to see our spiritual lives healthy and thriving, our physical health, to attain a level of physical health that will provide us with many years of life on this earth. Peace, as Scripture defines it, doesn't just mean the absence of war. It means that things are as they are supposed to be, right? So you may have heard this from the Hebrew, the heavenly shalom, right? This shalom, this heavenly peace, is that things are as God designed them, and things are the way they are supposed to be. And we all know that when those moments, fleeting as they may be, happen in our lives, those moments of peace, we know things are like they're supposed to be. Things are right. How do we keep those moments longer? How do we capitalize on those moments, especially in the face of an overwhelming chaos, right? And you and I both know that chaos is everywhere. I mean, it is, the world in which we live is complete chaos, right? Like, we obviously, you can see as you're watching on our social feeds, if you scroll up or down on your feeds from wherever we're coming to you live now, you're going to see, I'm sure, a plethora of chaos. I mean, it's all over the place. Whether it presents itself in the political realm or in the sports realm, even it happens in the sports world, for sure there's chaos all over the place. In the financial world, at the gas pump, in our relationships with our husbands or our wives or even our children, or for those of us who may not be married, as we look for those to be our spouses and our loved ones whom someday we may have families with. We think about the chaos sometimes with our parents. Maybe they get sick as they get older, and that sickness may be, terminal. How do we deal with that chaos? More important than all of those external things, what about the chaos within? What about that struggle and that internal battle that happens where, I don't know, some of us may feel isolated, like we're very alone in the world. Some of us may have this overwhelming, chaotic feeling of doubt, of self-doubt. Do I have what it takes? Can I be better than I am today? Some of us face that chaos with all of the stuff that's happening in the world that leads to fear and ultimately to anger. This chaos is everywhere. I know you feel it. And the little list I made may not even include the chaos that you experience. And it seems dreadful and overwhelming. And in some sense, how do I overcome this chaos and get to that peace that I'm looking for? I mean, what am I going to do? Well, let me say it to you like this. The first thing is, you've got to understand that this chaos has existed from the beginning. It's not new. Look, the world we live in today is certainly the devil's playground, right? I mean, he's active and he is sowing discord. He is sowing division, which the word in Greek, the New Testament, for devil even means that very much, to divide. It's like where we get diabolical, right? To divide, to separate, to put apart, right? This word, this divisiveness that the devil's thrown out there, that's what leads to the chaos that we live in. So it's real and it's palpable, but it's been there since the beginning. In the very first, let me say this, the very second verse of the Bible, so Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, we see this very message, that in the beginning, when God creates the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Right? So what's happening in that statement? The earth was without form and void. Now in Hebrew, this form and void, it's a funny word. It's or two words. They rhyme. Tohu wabohu. Right? You can hear that. Tohu wabohu. And it means the without form and void in the sense of a building that may have been hit by an earthquake or a bomb and it crumbles and all that rubble, right? That destruction that lies chaotically upon the earth. The building is no longer ordered. and upright. It's no longer standing the way it's supposed to be, but it's tohu wabohu. It's without form and void. It's destroyed. The progenitor of that is the darkness that is across the face of the deep, meaning the evil waters, right? So water in Scripture, it's an important element because you got to have it to live. You got to feed your crops or water your crops and your plants and your animals, and you got to drink it. But it's also chaotic, and you have to somehow conquer it, but you can't destroy it, right? And darkness is across this deep. And then in verse 3 and 4, we see God enters the picture to show us that he is the ultimate source of overcoming that chaos, right? And it says, darkness was across the face of the deep, and God said, let there be light. So he's going to conquer this darkness with light. And in it, you see the verse on your screen right now. It says, he created the light was good, and he separated the light from the dark, right? Now, that's an element of control. That's showing us that God says, hey, chaos, I got this, right? Like, I've got control over it. I can't destroy the darkness because we need the night, and I'm not going to destroy the water because we need to drink it and bathe and water our crops, but I'm going to control it. I'm going to put it over here, right? Like, I got it. It can only act when I let it act. And then I'm going to let the light shine in the daytime. God has shown us that he is the controller, the overcomer of the chaos. That's further revealed to us in the New Testament. In Matthew chapter 14, there's a great story, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it, that Jesus is walking on the water, right? Like he just finished in chapter 14 feeding the 5,000 with 5 bread and 2 fish, and his disciples are on the boat out in the sea, and he comes walking to them, and they're afraid, like, oh my God, it's a ghost, there's a storm, it's crazy, whatever. He says, nope, it's me, and Peter says the following, Lord, if it is you, let me come to you on the water. Let me, like you, overcome this chaos, the storm, right? And it's a funny story because, as you know, the name Peter in Greek means a rock, which is going to sink in water, not walk on the water, especially not in the midst of the chaotic storm. And yet, while he's focused on Christ, Peter walks on water. But then there's something really funny, something quite tragic, actually. In verse 30, Matthew chapter 14, verse 30, it says, when he, meaning Peter, when he saw the wind, he began to sink, and he cried out, Lord, save me. Saw the wind? How do you see wind? You can't see wind. I mean, like, what's going on? The statement that Matthew is telling us is that Peter took his eyes off of Christ, looked at the chaos of the world, and perhaps became overwhelmed by it and began to sink. When he was focused on Christ, he, the rock, who by design should sink, was doing the impossible. He was conquering the chaos, walking on the water. Now, in all of these stories, or both of these stories from Genesis and Matthew, we have something very interesting presented to you and I. It is that the chaotic world in which we live, with all those things we talked about at the beginning of the episode, we have an opportunity to remember, A, God is the controller of the chaos, right? He has overcome the chaos and did it on the first day when he created light and separated, right? Likewise, you can be, and I can be, maybe you more than me, but we can be like Peter, that if we keep our eyes on Christ, and we say in the Warrior Saints movement, living a crucifixional life, we also can overcome and conquer that chaos and ultimately arrive at that peace where everything we know is as it should be, right? To do that is often very confusing. How do we do that? Who's going to teach me? Who's going to guide me how to do that? I don't know all of the action steps that I need to take to overcome that chaos and conquer that chaos and arrive at peace. Who's going to help guide me? The Warrior Saints. That's it. That's why we're here. So as you watch this, and I hope this episode resonates with you a little bit, and you realize that some of the stories we've told are about you and your life. I know I feel that way. The Warrior Saint mission is simple. It's only one purpose, and that is to teach us the crucifixional life, i.e. eyes on Christ, imitating Christ, living like Christ, putting our will aside so that we can make room for God's will, putting my needs aside so I can take care of those in need. When I live a crucifixional life, I'm telling you, and I've had some moments in my own life where I've actually done it, and I'm like, oh, the chaos is there, but dang, I feel like I've overcome it, and I feel a sense of peace. If you want that as well, let us guide you. Visit us at warriorsaints.org. We spend all of our time, every breathing, every waking moment doing one thing, and it is studying, learning, writing, and teaching that crucifixional life so that we can share it with you, so that you too can find yourself overcoming chaos and acquiring the peace that you so desperately crave. It's simple. Visit us at warriorsaints.org. Number 2, scroll halfway down that page and you're going to see something called The Way of the Warrior Saint. Subscribe. Dude, it's $8. Come on. I mean, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to that and you're going to see a multitude of lessons that all you need to do is watch, maybe multiple times, and implement in your life so that you can become someone who's conquering the chaos in your world and arriving at peace. The army's growing, brothers and sisters. We love it. We're grateful. We want to keep grinding. Do us the kindness. Share this all over the place. Put it on your posts, on your feed, on your walls, or whatever they say. Help us get the word out there because there's so much chaos. There's so much desire for peace, and there's a lot of confusion on how to get there. We're doing our best to help you. We appreciate the share. We appreciate the shout out to your friends and your lists. We appreciate the love more than anything else. God keep you beautiful people. We're going to be back tomorrow. In fact, all of this week to continue Chaos Week, right? Like National Geographic has Shark Week. It's kind of cool. We have Chaos Week. And we're here to help all of us overcome that chaos. Till tomorrow, as always, keep walking in the way of the Warrior Saint.